going on, Mike and Mike at night?
Our news, our business.
Hey, if you here at nighttime,
then you most definitely here at the right time.
Hey, let's do this tonight. It's all about that love,
support,
and protect.
Always.
Hey, I know y'all had a good turkey day. We took a break off from the Mike and Mike at night show. We knew y'all was getting full and doing y'all's thing, so we just wanted to give y'all some time to relax, let it marinate, and just give you a little bit of time to miss us. We know y'all missed the Mike and Mike at night show.
Glad to be back in the saddle. Glad to be back in the saddle.
Right. So we've had a lot of topics. So I don't know if you guys know this or not, but we get the show started a week in advance. So we got a lot of different things that we talk about with each other, and we just work out what we think is going to be the best and what we think you guys want to hear and what you guys respond healthy to as a community. So tonight we decided, obviously, if you've looked at the Facebook page, you know that we're starting with the stereotypes of African Americans or black folks, if you know whichever way you want to go, within the community, and the stereotypes that serve us and the stereotypes that don't serve us. And we're kind of looking at stereotypes versus patterns as well. Because some people may call it a stereotype, other people may call it just a pattern. That we see that you guys move in a certain way, so we ascribe or maybe even oversimplify these different aspects of you all's qualities and natures to you as a people. So we just wanted to get into that today. I don't know if you guys watched any football over the weekend, but we definitely had some good games going on.
Yeah.
I was actually able to see a black quarterback play for the Broncos for a change, so that's something that kind of excited me.
Okay.
Go Denver. I would like to see him again.
You may see one for the Philadelphia Eagles tonight.
Okay, well, we don't care about that.
Okay,
but,
I do.
But for all those black quarterbacks out there, big ups to you guys. They said you guys couldn't do it, but you guys are doing it better than most in the game right now. So, we just want to get started with this show tonight with Black Stereotypes. I know that you guys are going to enjoy this one. We got a fun-filled, packed show for you guys tonight. So get in here and let's talk. Let's just talk a little bit. And while we get ourselves together, we got a little. Who we gonna have for you guys? What's this? Oh, we got a little Shirley Murdoch for y'all. Let's go.
You told me things, and I believe them all. Times, but that didn't matter at all. Those lonely nights, waiting for your call. I didn't know it then. You were someone's husband. My desire for you was strong, but I want to wrong.
What y'all know about this?
I would say you hit it a little hard with that Shirley Murdoch tonight.
So check this out. I know you guys got some. I know y'all have some stereotypes that y'all want to share, but we had some that we wanted to bring to the table and talk about tonight, and it just kind of hash it out between all of us as a family. You know how we get down on the Mike and Mike at Night show.
Already.
We all about that love, support, and protect. Looking out for each other, loving each other, supporting each other, and protecting each other in everything that we do. So we try to be careful to not bring negative energy to this show. We try not to bring any type of backbiting when it comes to our people, because we know there's a whole lot of family business out there. Ain't that right, Sabrina? That we could bring on this show, but we just choose to concentrate on that love, support, and protect.
No doubt.
So with the questions that we're asking tonight, I just want to ask you guys, just right out the gate, do you think that some of these stereotypes are true? Do they serve us well, or do they not? And there are some out there that I'm okay with, and then there's others that I just think that they're a little bit oversimplified by definition of the word stereotype. It's an oversimplified description of a people or a thing.
Well, I'm glad you started with that black quarterback thing, because you know what the stereotype has been throughout NFL history is that the black man was not smart enough to be able to run an offense for an NFL team. And so now when we look at all the top quarterbacks, I mean, we talk about Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes. We talk about Deshaun Watson. I mean, the list can go on and on and on. These up at Russell Wilson, I can't leave him out.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Most definitely. And the Broncos, like you said, even though it wasn't their first time playing a black quarterback.
What was the first time?
The first time was Marlon Briscoe back in the 1960s.
Okay.
He may have actually.
So it's been a while since we've seen one.
It's really it has been a while, but we've reached that point now to where maybe we won't be looked at in that manner anymore. So I'm excited about that.
Hey, so when it comes to the NFL, we know how they feel about us. The things that Colin Kaepernick had to do to make our voice heard within the NFL. I mean, he literally sacrificed his career to make a point, and lost tons of endorsements and money and his livelihood.
Sure
in
did.
essence, he put that on the line to love, support, and protect the people that he loved the most. And I appreciate him for doing that.
No doubt.
But
He put it on his back.
He did put it on his back. And we have some people that will disagree with the way that he did it, the way he went about it. But at the end of the day, he did something, and he wasn't silent.
And really, when you look back at it right now, people are praising Colin Kaepernick. He's not getting the backlash that he was getting early on when he decided to do the protest. But now everybody's looking back, kind of like how everybody's or needs to be apologizing to Monique, like they need to be apologizing to Colin Kaepernick, because all he did was make an awareness or make us aware, or we've always been aware of it as black people, but he made the rest of the world aware that these atrocities do occur on a daily basis for black people. But now, if we want to talk about, the regular black stereotypes, chicken, waffle, or chicken, watermelon, Cadillacs. Well,
go ahead.
I must be a walking stereotype, bro, because I love fried chicken, right?
Okay.
I don't know if I was pre-genetically disposed to love fried chicken, but I also love watermelon, y'all. I love grape Kool-Aid.
Hold on, but let me ask you this question.
Go ahead.
Who don't like fried chicken?
You know what? I can't find anybody that doesn't like fried chicken.
Okay, so
But-
you know what? They put that on us, but everybody, the KFC, the Colonel didn't become a millionaire off of black people.
He most certainly didn't.
Okay.
So when we talk about watermelon, I'm guilty of that.
Who don't like? Let me ask you that same question. Who don't like watermelon?
Who don't like grape Kool-Aid?
Okay.
Who doesn't like a nice Cadillac?
Okay.
Who doesn't like a nice pair of Jordans? Who doesn't like 22-inch rims?
Exactly.
So I feel you on that, but that has been associated with black people. Now, when you talk about the Cadillacs, I'm guilty. I own 2 of them, and they both have sets of rims to go with them.
Okay.
Right.
So you're part of the stereotype.
I am part of people who just want to ride nice in a luxury car. Well, presidents drive Cadillacs, bro. So, and we've only had one black president, so how is that a black thing?
Did he have a Cadillac?
He did ride around in a Cadillac, bro. Of course he did.
Okay.
All presidents do.
Okay.
Unfortunately, the one that John F. Kennedy was in wasn't bulletproof.
You know what? Okay. Sometimes you got to get that bulletproof Cadillac. But anyway, so there are some things that we wanted to talk about today, and we kind of wanted to look at it from 2 different aspects, because there are 2 different aspects to this issue. We not only have the external stereotypes, but we also have internal stereotypes. And when I say that, what I mean is there are ways that the world views and sees us, and then there are ways that people view and then there are ways that we view ourselves. So, and those are our internal, should I say, stereotypes.
Right.
So the ones that we have in our neighborhoods or in our families or in our circles are like, you have to be able to rap to be successful, or you have to be able to play some type of sports to be successful. And we don't necessarily share the idea that we can do other things like
Right.
play hockey or tennis to be relevant or to be successful within
Right.
with our people. And we even clown each other when it comes to us doing things outside of our internal stereotypes. Like if someone does choose to play hockey or someone does choose to play tennis, we're like, oh, well, you're being like white people. That's a
Golf,
white,
skating,
yeah, that's a white
skateboarding.
people sport. And we have these internal stereotypes that don't necessarily serve us as a people.
Absolutely not. So I totally get what you're saying. Black people, listen, we're not predisposed to only be able to do one or two things. Now, I know a whole lot of black people who are not athletic the least bit, right? And they're still successful. They can't rap a lick, they can't play no basketball, they are not athletically inclined, but they still have success. So we want to kind of throw that one out the window. Now, it is a stereotype that while white men can't jump, black men can. While we run fast, they do not. While we can dance, they are not as gifted as we are. So what do y'all think about that?
Felicia says that all black people can't dance.
No,
And
that's
that
true.
is true.
That's very
That
true.
is
also.
true, and they believe that all of us can. Now, we can move a little bit, and some of us have rhythm, and some of us don't. And if you have been in a black family long enough, you you know that is definitely a true statement.
And as long as you can sit in the chair and bob your head a little bit to the beat, you good.
Yeah.
You know?
Gangsters don't dance, they
You know?
bug you up.
So yeah, so this is something that I kind of want to ask black women. Now, obviously, I've never been with a black man, but so there's a stereotype that black men are well endowed. Now, I'm not asking you, I'm asking our lady listeners out there, is there some truth to that? Is that something that's been made up, or have you noticed that that's a trend that most black men are, in fact, well endowed? Let me
Well,
just give y'all a
that
second to
is
think about that.
that's one of the external stereotypes that we speak of,
Mhm.
and it also, goes so far as, and I've heard white women say that when they're with a black man, they're looked down upon because they assume that they're with him for those reasons, like they're kind of sluttish or whorish because they want to be with a black man for those reasons.
Okay, well, if there's truth to that stereotype, then how could you blame them for that?
Well, I mean, I don't think that the size of a man should necessarily determine whether or not you want to date him. Now, I can understand that may be a added benefit, an accoutrement, if you will, to that situation, but I wouldn't definitely say that is that should be a determining factor on whether it is or not that you're dating someone.
Well, Felicia Foster says it's definitely a myth.
It's a myth. Okay, so
okay.
that's not always the truth that all black men may be well endowed. So moving on.
Moving on. Okay, and now this is something that I wanted to get into because I was having a discussion with a young lady just a while back ago, and she was pregnant, and so I asked her what she was going to name her child, and she said something to the effect of, and I don't remember exactly, y'all. And you know, black people could get really creative when we name our children, but it was like Cantavius or something to that effect, one of the stereotypical names.
John Quenisha?
Or something like that. So what I want to ask y'all is, do you think that when you name a child something outside of our regular slave names that we've been given, like George and John and Richard and things like that, do you think that you're putting your child at a disadvantage because and especially nowadays, since there's no interviews where you actually go in, everything's online or what you call virtual. So
when they see Quantavius,
when they see Quantavius Jackson, Quantavius
may not get the job.
Darius Jackson III, do you
Right.
think that's going to deter them from maybe getting the job or being considered for the job? And if your answer is yes, do you think that we should maybe tone it down a little bit with our creativeness. Now, black people are the most creative people in the world. I get that, but how many white Keishas do you know?
Okay, so that may be the case, and that may be the case in which we're talking about one of those stereotypes that may not serve us, because when people, my name is Terry Spears, so I never met a teacher that couldn't pronounce my name.
Right.
I probably got in more trouble than most because of the fact that that name was so easy to pronounce.
You don't have any hyphens in your name,
Right,
or
right.
inconsistencies with the spelling / the pronunciation.
Okay, so I think they're still talking about the endowment on here.
Okay.
I'm not going to touch that one right now, but I will say that some of those names have served to disservice us in the way that there could be some discrimination that takes place just based on what they see on said job application or even college application when it comes to trying to get into a school or trying to get into a certain place of employment, and your name is Quantavious.
Now, if you have a Spanish last name, now obviously they're automatically going to tag you for being Hispanic or a Latino, whatever you choose to be called. So there's kind of no way out of that. But as black people, let's just face it, we have our slave masters' first and last names. So can you kind of look at it as kind of selling out to that?
Well, I mean, we are by nature, I mean,
creative.
Yes, we are, and I think that those names, to a certain extent, may have been a way to identify us or to separate us from the commonplace of America, where we were taking their names on, and we weren't coming up or creating our own or building our own culture.
Well, I'm like Dr. King. I'd rather be judged by the content of my character rather than something as foolish as my name. So, you know what I'm saying? When it comes down to it, do you think that we're doing a disservice to our children by giving them these difficult names that are hard to pronounce, and where the person in power looks at it and automatically assumes maybe he hasn't seen you, maybe he hasn't spoken to you, but just because he sees your name, he's going to assume that you're black, aka African American?
So, Damon and Deborah, they bring up some interesting, points here. Damon says that hair and that name can be a blessing and it can be a curse, because amongst ourselves, of course, there's a certain amount of camaraderie that we have built with those names and with that hair. Deborah suggests that this is a new plantation, so the workplace being the new plantation, why not use those quote-unquote slave names? There are certain things that we have to do to manipulate our environment to the best of our ability. And being in the workplace, we have to assume that being pronounced when it comes to our quote-unquote blackness can cost us in the end. And in the end, we're really just trying to support, love, and protect our family and take care of them on a financial level.
Yeah, and just to let it be known, there is legislation across many states in America now, and I believe Colorado is one of them, where it is actually illegal to discriminate against somebody based on their hair. So I think that's taking the right step. Hopefully, it'll be a national thing and not just certain states.
Well, the hair discrimination or the discrimination that comes based on your appearance, no, that shouldn't take place. But let me just say this: when you go to a job interview, they have already pretty much determined whether or not you will be a good fit for them. Coming in the door, when they interview you, it's not based on your level of education. A lot of times it's not based on your past history or your experience. It's based simply on whether or not that interviewer likes the interviewee. And that's just the long and short end of it. Now, trying to get a job, if you're applying for a job and your name is Quantavious, then I understand that you probably will experience a slight bit or some discrimination just because of that name. Now, if your name is Quantavious Edward, whatever, then maybe you might want to use that Edward if you can. Or if your name is Quantavious Delantre, maybe you just want to call yourself QD and then use your last name.
Okay.
And just to kind of throw them off a little bit.
And when you start using letters as names, symbols of letters as names, that's kind of like the exact same thing. They're going to look at that probably much the same way as you do when you hear JJ, JR, RJ. When you hear names like that, you automatically will probably assume that they're black.
Not necessarily, because if you look, and I mean, I don't want to say that you're definitely wrong. There is exceptions, but if you understand if you understand on the inception, with the inception of this country, this is how a lot of J.D. Rockefeller, this is how a lot of Caucasians identified themselves. They didn't use their whole first or even their whole middle.
True.
They would use those initials to identify themselves. And all I'm saying is that sometimes you can use that to kind of
So it sounds to me like you're basically saying women don't name your children those super creative names. I want y'all to chime in on that, and I want to go back to what Dev said, where it might be illegal, but it still happens. Talking about the hair thing. Well, of course, a lot of things that are illegal still happen, like housing discrimination,
right,
police brutality. All those things are illegal, but much like Colin Kaepernick, at least their attention has been brought to it. So we may actually see the light at the end of the tunnel now. Somebody still might go in and disagree with your appearance or disagree with your hair. So that doesn't make it right, and of course it does happen, but it will continue unless we keep bringing attention to it. Well, and until we start seeing people in places of power, like the fire chief, who maybe he's clean shaven, but maybe he's got a little twist at the top of his head. That's considered to be unacceptable at certain levels, but it shouldn't be, and we need more people like that. I will look to Atlanta, and you can see how some of their leaders actually embrace their blackness, their heritage, and their hair, and it works out great for them.
I want to remind you guys, don't forget to tag and share the video. Make sure that you are sharing this with not just your African American friends, but also your Caucasian friends that you may have, because of course we're all about the love, support, and protect, and we want to bring everyone in as a whole. But we do concentrate on the African American living here in Denver, Colorado.
Right.
With having said that, I guess we went down a little rabbit hole with the hair and the name and the endowment. But these stereotypes, some of them, I feel like I can own. I feel like it's a part of me, and I'm okay with it. And then some of them I feel are disservicing, or I don't know if that's a word, are a disservice to us as black people when we talk about black men not supporting their children, for them being a little bit more sexually active than most, promiscuous, if you will, with black men being lazy, not really wanting to work. All of these things have I won't say played, but have plagued our community as a whole, and how the world around us views us, because these have been some damaging stereotypes.
Certainly they have, and really a lot of that comes from the media. Now there's also just a segment of the population, they just don't have much interaction with black people, so kind of all they really have to go off of is the media types. For instance, and we were talking earlier about Boys in the Hood, right? And we talked about how Trey, who was the exact opposite of the black stereotype, who was actually being
raised, brought up Juice, but yeah, go ahead.
He was actually being raised by a single father, and then right across the street there, we had Doughboy and we had Morris Chestnut's character, and we see how those two characters ended up. They both ended up losing their lives, and I think part of the message of that movie was because they didn't have black fathers in their lives to guide them. So I think the media definitely takes some responsibility when it comes down to the way that black people are seen. Some of it comes just from lack of awareness or association.
Okay, and a lot of it comes also by, these are self-inflicted wounds. I believe that some of us have played into the hands of some of these stereotypes, in which at one time they may have been just that, but they are becoming more and more true as time passes. But as Ms. Clark says here, we are evolving, and it was more of a problem years ago, but At this point, it may be getting just a little bit better when it comes to the stereotypes and the social awareness that we have right now within America when it comes to the African American community.
Right. So, would you agree that that stereotypes are really rooted in racism?
I would say that some of that may be rooted in racism, but when I recognize a pattern, which we generally, for most of us, we enter school, and that's one of the things that they teach us to recognize more than anything is to see a pattern, to see a mode, and to see how the way something may work.
Now,
so I don't think that it is always steeped in racism, but I do believe that a lot of the negative connotations that's given to the black community as a whole can be steeped in racism.
Yeah, almost in the way that now, for instance, growing up, I didn't have much exposure to Asian people, but the ones that I did meet, they were always good at math. Like, I never met one Asian person, and I don't want to sound stereotypical, but the pattern has showed me, and mind you, I only have a small sample size due to my lack of exposure, but they all seem to be good at math. I wish we had more positive stereotypes about black people when people look at us and they go, oh, black people are good at this, or black people are most certainly good at that. Well, if it's a positive stereotype, then I'm okay with that, as long as, you know.
Well, there are not just thousands, but millions of Asians that struggle with mathematics.
Right.
And there is actually a story behind why they are ascribed that stereotype, and you will be shocked to learn exactly what it is. Well, but there is a lot that goes into why Asians have been esteemed as good in math. Now, there are stereotypes also that say that black people aren't very good swimmers, or can't swim, or don't swim.
What is that rooted in?
Well, I'm going to tell you exactly what that's rooted in. The reason why they say that black people can't is because black people, for the most part, when segregation came about, were not given access to neighborhood swimming pools and local swimming pools, so therefore they didn't have that opportunity to swim as much as their white counterparts. So that's where that kind of came from, and so because that was the case, we kind of veered away from swimming.
Lack of exposure and lack of opportunity.
Exactly. So then, you know, and it was the same case with the Jewish people who were pretty good at basketball. Well, it's because in their neighborhoods they had neighborhood courts where they could play basketball. And if anybody knows about the history of the NBA and how professional basketball got started, most of those guys were Jewish, but when they started leaving those neighborhoods due to different things, gentrification, different things like that, then the blacks moved in, and the blacks then had access to these quote-unquote ball courts, and they were able to play a little bit more basketball than everyone else, and that's how our affinity kind of evolved with playing basketball and veered away from swimming.
Okay. That makes perfect sense, as I do know a whole lot of black people who don't know how to swim. Now, me, myself, I personally just learned how to swim at age 22. And let me tell you guys something. It's freaking amazing. It's like, do you ever have dreams that you're flying around? Like, you know how fun that is in your dream when you're flying? And when you wake up, you're like, oh, dang, I can't actually do that. Well, I actually took the initiative to get into a swimming pool with the intention of learning to swim. And man, it's one of the funnest things that I've ever had a chance to do. And till this day, I found that it's like riding a bike. I had went a couple of years without swimming, but I jumped back in the pool a couple of years ago, and it was just like it's like I never stopped swimming. So
and you enjoyed it, huh?
I enjoyed it so much.
Well, Sabrina suggests that the reason we have that fear of the water is because some of us were used as fishing bait.
That too, and the fact that we were being hosed, you know, by water hoses and things of that nature. So there's a plethora of reasons why black people don't particularly like swimming now, and then we can go back to our hair too. When we talk about some of the reasons why black people, maybe black women in particular, kind of shy away from the swimming pool, I think it has a lot to do with their hair, not so much as that they're scared or afraid. But when you expand your mind and you open yourself up to new experiences that might be considered white or something like that, man, what you'll find is that a bunch of this stuff is really fun. Now, doesn't mean I'm gonna do it. I wish I knew how to ride a skateboard, and guess what? In my community, there's a lot of black people that I see riding skateboards. Now, there's other communities, like in the South, for instance, where I used to live, and if they see a black person on a skateboard, the first thing they want to say, oh, they acting white. If you see them on, and it's like, hey, that's not the case just because you haven't been exposed to it. It's actually, from what I hear, pretty doggone fun, but you closed your mind up so much that you're not willing to experience these new things because of your lack of exposure to it.
So are there some products that we could say as black people that are somewhat, quote unquote, stereotypical?
Kool-Aid?
Kool-Aid, okay. I would say a little bit more specific than that when it comes to
grape Kool-Aid.
No, I'm saying when it comes to products.
Okay.
Newport cigarettes.
Yeah, I'd say
Do you
that.
think Newport cigarettes are widespread in the Caucasian community?
You know what? Actually, I have seen white people smoking Newports, but they tend to be the type that have a lot of interaction with black people.
Okay,
I've
so
noticed
maybe
that.
just with what we just went with the menthol cigarettes.
Menthol in general, whereas
Okay.
white people, you're going to see more Camos and Pall Malls,
Okay.
and things that are not menthol.
How about Hennessy?
Hennessy, I will say, is a black thing, and again, the media has played a large part in that, and they're banking off of it. They're making billions of dollars off of Hennessy, especially when you can grab somebody like Nas and have him do 50 commercials for you. That's telling black people that, hey, if you want to be cool like Nas, and we all know that's a cool cat from New York that can rap, then you most definitely got to have you some Hennessy, else you ain't right.
Okay, Michael Jordan sneakers.
I would say that's more of an everybody thing.
Okay.
Because Michael Jordan didn't get that rich just off black people buying Jordans. Now, we make the biggest deal out of it, most certainly. But I'm be willing to bet you that just as many white people buy Jordans as well.
Okay, and you had already mentioned the whole Cadillac deal.
Yeah.
How about Black and Mild cigars?
I also think that would be considered a black thing. Again, you see white people doing it, but they tend to have a lot of exposure around black people, the ones that do.
Okay, and I guess this one here is pretty much the definition is, and the access to these things are pretty much in what it is.
Sure.
But when we talk about the wigs and the hair extensions and the sew-in weaves and whatnot, that is strictly African Americans, right?
You know what? That's also not strictly African American. There's this new phenomenon where people are, and some of y'all have heard about black fishing, where they take these. Just for a moment, y'all. Where these white women are biting our culture and style, and that's nothing new. This has been going on since forever, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you do see white women with weave, braids. You see white men trying to twist their hair up and get dreads. Listen, everything that black people gonna do is gonna be copied and followed by not only white people but everybody else also.
Okay.
Even if they consider it to be a bad thing or a bad stereotype.
Okay. Well, we kind of wanted to get in here a little bit and just talk about this and see some ways in which we can change that narrative that is so loosely connected to our community. Mm-hmm. I think that there are things that we can do as a people to come together and change those negative aspects, i.e. make sure that we have a closer relationship with our children, make sure that we are have some form of gainful employment so that we're not tagged with that narrative as well. And I believe there's a lot of things that we can do to try to fight against that. Now, of course, if someone is racist, they're going to have these views about us regardless.
Sure.
But I believe that there are things that we can do to be more responsible,
right.
So that we are looked upon slightly different in the world culture and the culture of America.
So I agree with that. So in other words, you're saying that we need to stop perpetuating certain stereotypes. Well, some things we just can't help. You know, like you said, Hennessy seems to be a big thing. Can you think of another drink that we may drink or that we're enamored with? You know,
Probably Parmesan and I mean some of the lower.
Okay, just kind of depending on your income level,
right,
kind of.
yeah,
Okay.
some of the lower level.
Okay, Erkin Jerk or E&J.
Right.
That's black people mainly drink that stuff as well.
Right.
Malt liquor, is that a black thing?
Yeah, I would say so as well.
Okay.
OD.
Okay, yeah.
Like but probably
again,
had been more so.
the media and availability. That's why we drink malt liquor, y'all. Because I remember back in the day, this might not be true anymore, but when I would go off into certain white neighborhoods looking for my favorite brand of beer, happened to be a form of malt liquor back then. I couldn't find it. But anytime I was around my own neighborhood or other similar type of neighborhoods, it was readily available in different sizes. I'm talking about
Well, they're going to play
8 ounces, 12 ounces, 22 ounces, 24 ounces. They even came up after 40s, bro. They used to have 45 ounces. Well, you remember that?
Yeah, most definitely, and they're gonna play to the people that are spending the money. If people are spending that money in different neighborhoods, they're definitely not gonna spend money on marketing or even supplying the stores with that because
absolutely
it
not.
will never get purchased.
And just like we said on the previous show, how many Hennessy homeless shelters have you seen, or how many Newport sponsored basketball gyms have you seen?
And I guess that's
we give them all of our money, but they don't do anything for us. And let's be honest, y'all, cigarettes and Hennessy is harmful. It's something that you're supposed to do in moderation. It's not a thing you're supposed to drink like water.
And so that's why I would say that we need to be more socially responsible when it comes to supporting these brands that don't necessarily support us
Absolutely.
as a community, and at the same time changing that narrative that is connected, that is loosely connected to our community. But again, I don't want you guys to forget to tag and share these videos.
Please do that.
It is more important, I believe, that you share it with your Hispanic or maybe even Caucasian friends, because some of the things that we talk about on this show kind of gives us or allows other people to look deeper into who we are as a people and understand that we are educated people, we are a working people, we are determined people, and we are probably one of, if not the most resilient people on the planet right now. So just having said that, this should be a reason for us to motivate others to come onto the Mike and Night show and listen to some of the things that we share, to give other people a better outlook or a better view at who we are as black people. I know we have a lot of fun on here sometimes, and we talk about things that aren't as comfortable, but I think these are the topics that we definitely need to be discussing within our neighborhoods and our community. Coming up this week, we're going to have some brothers and sisters fresh from Africa.
From the continent of Africa.
From the continent
Absolutely.
of Africa. We're going from 2 different countries in Africa, actually. We're going to have some people on the show, and that'll definitely be a good show. We have some exciting things coming up for you. We got a couple of few artists, new artists that are coming on as well. We're going to get these black businesses shot out. We're still working on these things behind the scenes. But we appreciate you guys for coming out and spending time with us and just conversing for a while on a positive level. I love the people that had comment tonight with Ms. Clark commenting, and Sabrina, Felicia, and Damon. Man, that was awesome, because we always have healthy exchange on this show. And I noticed that whenever I read the comments, there's always healthy exchange going back and forth between my brothers and sisters. And this is something that really makes me feel good, because I love that. We have yet to have a show where somebody is arguing, fighting, or upset, because the one thing that we talk about on this show more than anything is that love, support, and protect.
Yes, sir.
And how we look out for our brothers and sisters. And we try to also model that or exemplify that within the show that we have here, and the exchange that we have, and black men getting along and coming together for a positive purpose every day here on the Mike and Night show. So I thank you guys again for coming out tonight. You want to throw something else in there?
No, just hope everybody had a fine holiday, and let's do it again tomorrow.
Hey, we're gonna do it again. We're gonna have fun, man. Love y'all. Love, support, and protect y'all. Have a good night. Mike and Mike at night. If you here at nighttime,
You're here at the right time.
love y'all, man. Love, support, and protect.
Don't forget to tag and share this video, y'all.
Already.